So I went to a British school, which, you finish before the A levels at 16. And the Kuwaiti government takes that as you finished school, so you can go to university. And they had a scholarship that was only for boys, and it was for to study Japanese language. So I went to them and I said, my parents don't mind that I'm a girl and I'm applying for the scholarship. So I went. They gave it to me, and I went. And yeah, and then I kind of mastered the language in about a year and a half. And I told them, I don't need to study language anymore, so can I study art? And they said, okay.
بلتي؟
عم فكر بالموضوع.
بتروحي معي ولا شو؟
نعيم ما تقوص.
I mean, it was really like it was an obsession. And now I think of all of that as like an obsession to escape. I wanted to go to the farthest place away. The obsession started during the war, so I kind of just wanted to get away from. I think it was just a reaction to everything that was happening, and yeah, I started to like kind of maybe look down on my own culture and stuff. Yeah, so I was a boy before it existed as a phrase. But yeah. But it really wasn't like this kind of like sexual thing. It was just like an obsession with appearance. I was in love with men. And, like, men were like the highest thing I regarded in my life. So much so that I wanted to look like them. It's this weird kind of narcissistic impulse more than it is like a confusion of sexual identity. It's like I thought men are the coolest thing, and I have to be like that. And of course, this kind of disintegrated when I went to Japan because, I was really young and I just wanted to have relationships and stuff. And of course, Japanese men really want effeminate women. My Japanese, male friends would ask, why do you have an opinion? It's weird. I don't have a girlfriend who has an opinion. Everything's starting to change, but at the same time, I still am fascinated by that period in my life where I link this like psychological impulse to gender. That I found masculinity to be more narcissistic than being feminine. My PhD thesis was called The Aesthetics of Sadness, so it's about accepting tragedy and finding some kind of beauty in it. Japan is a very special case, I think. I mean, compared to even America. America has a much more plural society. There are different ethnicities and different ways of living your life and different ways of iterating capitalism or non-capitalism, whatever. But Japan is kind of a hegemonic society, and everybody lives the same form of capitalism. It's like for me, it was almost fascist. There's no other way to exist, even. Rather, just in that system, it's extremely difficult to have an alternative way of living your life. Kuwait is a welfare state. It's very different from the oppression I felt in Japan. It's a very different type, of. It's more cultural and like religious and things like that, rather than it being kind of economic. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I might be a bit pessimistic about stuff. No, but I mean, it's like you can fall through the cracks. I mean, this is why I probably am in Lebanon. At the point when I left Japan, it was like, if I do want to live as an artist, do I live in a welfare state that has religious and restrictions, or do I live in a hyper-capitalist society where I have to work till like midnight just to make ends meet and then work after midnight on my artwork, which I won't be able to because I'm too tired. Which is what happened to most of my artist friends. And then I chose, okay, I'll go back and be an artist, even though there's these restrictions, but they're somehow less restricting in a way. I'm looking more at it like oil as a narrative, like as a character in a story. Almost like oil is like this mafia character, that can corrupt. So Saudi Arabia decided to overproduce oil. Um, it was a political decision, and they forced OPEC to accept, and they overproduced oil. I think it's 5 or 6 times more the average, and they made the oil prices crash. Some people say it has something to do with shale oil drilling in the States because there's all these small businesses, springing up now. Shale oil, it's like private companies. The thing is, though, that I think the smaller Gulf states like Kuwait were not consulted about this, and they're in full panic mode. And actually, I think the IMF just said that the oil prices will never go back to what they were. So I don't know if that was part of the plan. I mean, it reminds me of the opposite that happened in 73, 74 when King Faisal, also Saudi Arabia, decided to stop oil production and caused an oil crash across the world. I'm also very interested in that story that oil, monarchy caused an oil crash. How can I narrate it from all these different sides? And in our lives in Kuwait, we never realize that it's there. It's just like this magic potion that gets us money. And I made that film Behind the Sun because that was the first time I actually saw it, that I saw the stuff coming out of the ground and burning. It's all this black, and the sky was black, and it was raining black rain all the time. Our house was black. I have a picture of my mom walking in front of our house with a painting. It looked like hell. And it was a very special experience, I think, but also probably one of the biggest ecological disasters ever, man-made, And it's interesting how it happened. Obviously, it's always seen as a political event, but there was something kind of sublime to it because it really looked like the portrait of the end of the world.